What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Nick and we are once again back for another episode of Should You Buy It? If you're new to the series, basically what it is a casual review of all the games that I play on my channel. I give you guys my thoughts of it, going through the pillars of story, gameplay, and graphics, then kind of just give you my final thoughts, finishing off with the review score, and then I recommend if you should buy it, those people who should buy the game, and then I recommend those people who should not buy the game. So today we have the game ReCore, which is Xbox's first major exclusive of Q4 2016. It was originally announced at E3 2015, and unfortunately the gameplay and the final product did not match the very cinematic trailer of the original reveal trailer, but we'll get back into that a little bit later. So enjoy the rest of the review. Alright, so I always like to start off with the story, because I find like the story is one of the most important parts of a video game, and unfortunately the story is probably the weakest part of ReCore, despite how cinematic and engaging that E3 2015 trailer was. When I originally watched that trailer, I thought we were going to have like this strong, deep connection to all the robots that we encountered throughout the entire game, and that there was going to basically be this cool open world desert area that we were going to explore, and it's going to be all mythical and magical. And unfortunately that's not what we got. So what we got was, we have this character, her name is Joule Adams. We have very little backstory from her in the in-game storyline, basically nothing from what I saw. And we wake on this planet called Far Eden, which is not Earth obviously, because it's called Far Eden. And what happened was, Far Eden was a planet that humans were planning to kind of move to, migrate to, kind of like Avatar. But at the time when they found the planet, it was not suitable for human inhabitants, so they went through a process of terraforming it. But unfortunately, the terraforming would have taken too long, so what happened was all the humans were put into stasis lock, and during that time, they were kind of just hoping that everything would work well, and they basically had core bots or robots, which are the main creatures that you're going to encounter in the game, kind of running things while they slept. And when they woke up, well, when Joule woke up, she woke up alone, and nothing was done basically. The planet was not ready completely for human inhabitants, and she was wondering why. And there wasn't really that much of a deep connection to your characters or your robot friends. They do have their moments, but by the end of the game, it kind of just becomes basically they all are kind of all meshed together, and their unique personalities are somewhat killed. In terms of graphics, the game did run very smooth when I played it the majority of my series on PC. I did start my series part 1 on the Xbox One version of the game just because I had no idea how to set up Xbox Play Anywhere. And I would have to say, just like the rest of the internet, the Xbox One version did suffer from some excessive load times, sandwich load times, if you guys want to call them that. You had enough time to make a sandwich in between them. Kind of akin to when Assassin's Creed Unity first launched, as well as Bloodborne on PlayStation 4. Some very long loading times between either deaths or just loading screens in between scenes. Anyways, so in terms of how the world was designed, the desert area, the open world, really didn't have much variation to it, except for this one area where it was called the Cradle, and there was a gigantic drill in the middle, which did look kind of cool. But overall, the dungeons were designed well. They felt very real, intimate, gave you that little bit of feel to it. And I really did dig the musical score of this game. The music was very spot on, especially the battle music between intense fights. They just really did suit the gameplay. And overall, the robots, your personal robots, at first they did feel like they did feel alive, and they did have a lot of emotion. This wasn't so much as all the other enemy robot types, such as Victor, as well as all his henchmen. They did feel kind of mechanical, even though they are robots. They were still supposed to be somewhat alive. They just didn't feel like they had any sort of emotion to them. They felt a little bit rigid. And finally, wrapping up with gameplay, which is definitely this game's strongest element. The gameplay in this game is, in terms of a platformer, probably some of the best platforming that I have ever played in a video game. It's kind of like a mix between Infamous, the PlayStation 4 series Infamous, and how the characters move, mixed in with the air dashing and the double jumping of Mega Man. So this game was made by Kenji Inafune, the father of Mega Man. So what I said earlier shouldn't be that much of a surprise, because the platforming Mega Man games have, well, traditional Mega Man X games have always been really great. Like I said, a lot of double jumping, air dashing, and eventually you're going to start incorporating each one of your robots to kind of help you move around and kind of guide your way through the world. So there are 3 unique robot allies in ReCore, and it's really cool when you first meet each and every one of them. You can definitely feel that each of them have their own personality, their own unique style, their own unique flavor. But the problem is, about halfway point of the game, they introduce an extra robot frame that does not have a core. And what that opens up is, it opens up the ability to swap the cores interchangeably between whatever frame that you have in the game so far. There are 4 total frames in the game and 3 unique cores. The ability to swap cores between the frames, I get what they're going for, but the problem that this creates is that it completely destroys the character of the robot. The whole point of why you're kind of jumping into ReCore, well, I was jumping into ReCore personally myself. At the very beginning of the game, I just automatically associated Mac with the color blue, and he would always be in his dog frame, which was absolutely adorable. Seth was yellow, and he's the kind of freaky looking spider that's afraid of heights. But when you kind of just start swapping the cores between each one of the frames, it just destroys that personality, that kind of uniqueness that I kind of got into the game in the first place for. So the gun combat in the game is fairly basic, but it works well. Basically, there are 3 different gun elements. So you're supposed to match the gun element to the enemy type. As well, you can match your assistant, your robot friend color, to the enemy type as well. If you do both, you'll do the maximum amount of damage. Later on, the game will add 2 more colors that you will not have the elements for, such as green and purple. And basically, you're just supposed to mix in the attacks with your assistant, and as well, the charge attacks kind of akin to the Mega Man Buster Rifle to help tear down their shields and just make things a little bit easier for yourself. In terms of game length, to complete the story, you'll probably need about 12 to 15 hours. The problem with this is this time actually is not spaced out very well. You'll pretty much blast through the first 3/4 of the game, but the game is artificially extended because of the currency of the prismatic cores. In order to reach the final boss of the game, you'll need a total of 45 prismatic cores to just even get there. And you're pretty much just gonna have to revisit dungeons that you played in the past, this time with all 4 of your robots to help you reach the different sections that weren't originally open to you. And you're gonna have to play the quote-unquote optional dungeons that aren't really optional, that comprise of combat as well as platforming challenges. They're not really optional because you're gonna have to pretty much complete about 90% of them in order to reach the 45 prismatic core threshold so you can fight the final boss of the game. So once again, it's not spaced very well, the pacing is not done well, and it feels like they just tacked on the 45 prismatic core requirement just to make the game feel longer than it actually is. In terms of people who should buy this game, once again, it's those people who just enjoy platforming games. This game has some of the best controls of any platforming game out there. I nearly broke my controller a couple times just trying to get that little tight extra jump, or trying to get through the combat trials, the time trials. So if you're a person who really does enjoy platforming games, the $40 price tag of this game, this is not a full price game, but the $40 price tag is definitely worth the price of admission. The people who should not buy this game are the people who are expecting what you saw out of that E3 2015 trailer. There is not a deep story here. The game is not cinematic in any sort of way in terms of its graphics. And the deep connection between Joule and all her robot buddies, although they are present at the very beginning of the game, by the midpoint of the game, it's pretty much destroyed. And the ending of the game is somewhat rushed and lackluster. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That is my should you buy it for ReCore. Let me know what you guys think in the comment box based on my series, if you agree or disagree what I thought. If you did, leave your comments below. I will probably try to reply to as many comments as I possibly can and questions for the next couple days as this video is up. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you guys are still enjoying the series. And of that, thank you guys for watching. And as always, have a fantastic day.